interview and AMA, feel free to just post the questions in the chat, and we'll ask those questions to Bobby, and Bobby's going to be very candid with us and answer any questions and everything we have. All right. So with that being said, Bobby, who are you? Who's Bobby Lee?
Yeah. So my name is Bobby Lee. I got into crypto relatively early. Back then, it didn't feel like so early, but now that almost 10 years have passed by, it feels quite early. So I got it in 2011. So I'm a tech guy myself. I grew up in Africa, in a country called Ivory Coast, and I came to the U.S. when I was 14 years old. Attended high school here in the U.S. And then went out to California. I was in the high school was in New Jersey, and then went to California for college. Went to Stanford. And then after that, I worked in Silicon Valley during the internet boom. So it started with Yahoo. I was there for a long time. And then after Yahoo, I moved to China. So that's when I started my tech career in China. Worked for a variety of companies like EMC, Walmart, SMG, Best TV. And then I stumbled on crypto in 2011, early 2011. Actually, my brother told me about this. But my brother's Charlie. At the time, he and I were just nobodies. So he told me about Bitcoin. He saw it online, and then he and I both started mining it. So started mining Bitcoin in summer of 2011 and using GPUs for that. And at the time, I still was working at Walmart, but a year and a half later, I left Walmart and then had the opportunity to do something new. That's when I decided to go into crypto full time. Got together with my partners at BTCChina. So we launched a company and became CEO, co-founder and CEO of BTCChina. BTCChina was the very first Bitcoin exchange in China. So that was established in 2011. And then after Mt. Gox collapse, we became the longest running exchange, right? We also had the largest trading volumes worldwide at the end of 2013. So it was very active, and then we renamed ourselves to BTCC. So that was the international name, BTCC. And eventually, a few years later, we had the opportunity to sell the company. So it got acquired 2 years ago in early 2018. So we made a lot of money, and I left the company's management team. I took 2018 off, and then of course in 2019, early last year, I started a new company, which is called Ballet as in the dance. And that's a sort of physical wallet. We make physical cryptocurrency wallets with multi-currency support. So it's a non-electronic wallet. I can talk about that later. So that's my sort of a quick summary from I've been in Bitcoin since 2011. So it's been a good 9 years now. It's like time has flies by so fast.
Okay, so thank you so much for that intro. There's definitely lots of information there that even me myself didn't really know.
Yeah.
So first thing first, let's go back all the way kind of to what you mentioned initially. So you grew up in Ivory Coast.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
My African brother. How are you?
Yeah. Which country are you from? Where is your family from?
Uganda. So
Uganda. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
got it. That's in southern part of the continent. I'm in the western part of the continent.
Yeah. So do you speak French?
I do. I of course, people may know Ivory Coast used to be a French colony. So French is still the official language there. So during the 80s when I was growing up, I actually went to American school, but we learned French as a sort of secondary foreign language. So French was spoken in the city, in the society.
Yeah.
A lot of the local people went to French school, but I had the opportunity to go to American school, international school. So that's how I learned English through all through grade school.
Nice. Mon ami.
My French is terrible. Yeah, mon ami. Comment ça va?
Oui, un peu. Ma papa te parle français. So I'm basically saying my dad speaks fluent French, so he kind of inspired me to take French in school.
Great. Yeah, I took French. French is so hard to learn. French is like impossible. Like I hated it, to be honest.
It's hard to learn, but it's still an eloquent language in a way. I think I just like the way the words sound. They sound like very fancy in a way.
Yeah,
bourgeoisie.
It sounds fancy if the speaker can speak it, but the French coming out of my mouth doesn't sound fancy at all. So I gave up on that. Yeah.
And then so I've been in crypto for a while, and I've known you for a while, but I had no idea you were the brother of Charlie Lee until like a few weeks ago. And
Oh,
I was like, holy cow.
that's right. That's right. A lot of people didn't know. And in the early days, or not early days, people still come to me and they're surprised. Like, are you sure? Like, it's like yeah, we took different paths in crypto, but we both ended up being well recognized, 9 years later.
Yeah, I mean that's quite the family. Having two crypto OGs in the same family. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, so you mentioned that he got you involved into blockchain and Bitcoin, right?
Yes. So he shared the concept of Bitcoin with me. So he and I, we grew up together. We also went to the same high school together. For college, he went to MIT. I went to Stanford, so we didn't go to the same college together. But for a while, while after graduation from college in Silicon Valley, we even lived together as roommates for a few years. So he and I are pretty close, and we also invest together in gold. So back in the early 2000 days, he and I were collecting gold coins, physical gold coins. And that's when we first sort of, we were in our 20s and our 30s, I guess. We were thinking about what does it mean to own gold? Why is gold important? Why is it a valuable investment? It's a chunk of metal, right? Why not aluminum? Why not steel? Why gold? And obviously, by investing in gold, we obviously recognized its value and endorsed it. But we had to go through a thinking process, like what made it valuable. And of course, it's a scarcity, the rarity of it, the fact that it's decentralized, the fact that it's uniform. It's a atomic element that's uniform. It's a naturally occurring metal. It's not a composite. It has uniform grade. And once, like a piece of gold here and a piece of gold there, you can't tell where it's from, right? You melt it, it's exactly the same. So it has a lot of good chemical properties. Like I took a lot of chemistry in high school. So I realized that if you look at it from a chemist perspective, gold is actually very interesting. It's very, it has great properties, conductivity, it's very dense. So all the properties make gold a suitable form of money. And because the value of gold is not endorsed by government or by some higher up being, right? God didn't say gold should have value. So gold became valuable because of its practicality, of its usefulness. Okay, so I can go into all of that. But essentially, when Bitcoin came in the scene, whether it was this 2009, 2000, we heard about it in 2011. Charlie and I went through the same discussions, like what would make Bitcoin valuable, right? Back then, Bitcoin only had, I think, 4 or 5 whatever million in circulation, and it only, is that right? Yeah, something like that. It didn't have that much in circulation. It only had, however many tens of millions or $100 million value, right? And the question is, can it ever become $1 billion worth of value total collectively? So we're long past that. Today, Bitcoin is over 200. Let me check, 200 billion in value. What's the latest? It's gone up a lot. Market value is about 163 billion dollars. All the Bitcoin in circulation. So it's well exceeded our early expectations. But today I have a much better understanding of Bitcoin. I think it's $1 trillion asset class. So it's still tremendously undervalued. Anyways, I rambled on a little bit. Yeah.
No, that's fine. So kind of going back, you're very international, America, Ivory Coast, then China. What made you move to China? And then what was it like being there on the ground floor during the early days of blockchain and Bitcoin in China?
Yeah. So I moved to China in end of 2006. Okay, end of 2006, I moved to China. At the time, I had just finished up my long career at Yahoo. I wanted to take some time off. So for me, it was just trying to, take some time off. My parents had a vacation home there in Shanghai. So I decided to base myself in Shanghai, travel around Asia, Hong Kong, Southeast Asia, and all that stuff. And then I got a job offer to stay in Shanghai to work at EMC. So that's actually when I actually, decided to take a stab at working in China. At the time, it would have been ludicrous for an American, doing well to actually think about going, moving into communist China to work there. It's unheard of. So when I did that, a lot of my friends questioned me. And a few years later, we're like, wow, Bobby, you're early, right? You're really, had a insight on the growth of China and all that stuff. So it certainly wasn't for Bitcoin, right? Because I moved there in 2006. Anyways, it was a bustling city, Shanghai, up and coming. It's grown a lot just in the last 13 years, but even then it was already a big city. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, come back to you for questions.
so Shanghai is a great place. I've been there as well. Went there in 2018. Great skyline. I mean,
Yeah.
amazing skyline. Great place to be. Highly recommend anybody out there who's traveling to China to definitely check out Shanghai. Okay,
Yes.
so now being there on the ground floor.
Yeah, you asked me about the ground floor of being in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yes.
So I remember a fun story is when I started mining for Bitcoin in 2011. Apparently, I definitely wasn't the first one in China to mine Bitcoin. And the reason I know that is because the week I went out to try to buy these graphics cards at all these computer malls and stores, like almost every store I hit, they told me they just sold out, half a dozen cards to the last guy who came in yesterday. And I was always like half a step behind. Someone was buying up all the graphics cards. So I knew there are other people mining, but it was a very, very small group of people who were mining Bitcoin back then. And I didn't even take it very seriously. So I only mined just for that summer, like 3 or 4 or 5 months. And I stopped my machines later just because at the time it was like, oh yeah, the room is too hot. There was no air circulation. And I mined, at the time, I only mined like $200 worth of Bitcoin. Okay, but it was actually 20 Bitcoins. Okay, so it was actually 20 Bitcoins. It was only worth like $200-300. Okay, whatever. I just leave it on the side. So that was in 2011, in the early days. And people were at the time, by 2013, people were getting serious. People were making ASIC miners. So I got my first ASIC miner from Avalon, a very famous company. So a lot of the mining companies grew up in China, were invented there and established there. Yeah.
All right. So then how did you come up with the idea for BTCC exchange?
Yeah, so I didn't come up with the idea. So my co-founders, 2 guys, Lin Ke Yang and Xiaoyu Huang. So they were from Beijing and Nanjing respectively. So they started the website first, and then I joined forces with them in early 2013 and essentially said, hey, how about we make this a really, a real deal, establish a company behind it. First, it was just like a website, 2 guys running it, sort of their part-time job. They all had day jobs, so it was more of a hobbyist kind of thing. So I said, hey, let's go serious. Let's turn this into a real company, rent office space, hire people, get funding from VCs and stuff like that. So we did that. We got together, set off on this plan in early 2013. So this was around spring, about February, March, April, when we decided to do this. And by May, we had everything ready. We set up the company, we rented an office, we started hiring people, payroll and stuff like that. And that's when Bitcoin started taking off. Of course, we remember, if you're early enough, you remember that 2013 actually had 2 bubbles, 2 waves of Bitcoin price appreciation. The second wave in November, December, that's when people remember. But the first wave was actually in March, April, when Bitcoin crossed, went to $20, went to an all-time high of like $20, $26. So that was a big deal. I remember talking to my brother, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's taking off. It's like past $10, $15, $20, So that's when I got together to launch BTCChina.
Now, was it challenging raising money from VCs so early on when Bitcoin was still very experimental and volatile?
Yeah, I got lucky, I guess. I talked to the investor Lightspeed China, and then I convinced them that this is something that's really worthy. So they were my board member Ron Tao and James Me over there. They were very supportive. I knew them from before, so I had a good introduction to them, and they're very supportive. And from the get-go, and they gave us our first term sheet as a VC investment. So I think we were the first company in all of Asia to get VC financing. Back then, early 2013, in mid 2013.
That's big. That's big. Now, so you mentioned you and your brother were basically gold bugs. You're very deep in gold, and in a way, do you view Bitcoin as digital gold, or did you view it as digital cash or something else?
Well, of course, Bitcoin has the expression digital gold, but I think a lot of people who say digital gold, they don't actually know what gold is. They just say digital gold. So of course, I agree it's digital gold, but more fundamentally, I agree it's digital gold, not because of the marketing term, but really because gold is what it is because of its chemical properties. Okay, So let's go into deeper a little bit. So one thing is it's not easy. It's hard to counterfeit, and the reason it's hard to counterfeit is because it has that luster, that color, okay, and also it's because it's very dense. Okay, so it turns out that in physical life, light things that are less dense, that are light. Let me back up. Things that are heavy can be made to appear to be light if you have air pockets in them. Does that make sense? Okay.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, things that are light, you can never make it heavy, right? If you take a bar of aluminum or a wood, you can never make it look like gold, make it feel like gold. Even if you paint it gold color, a piece of wood will never feel like gold because it wouldn't be heavy. Does that make sense? Whereas
Yes,
if I
yeah.
take gold, I could put it with a wood covering outside and put a lot of air bubbles in them, and it could make it really light, so it could feel like the weight of wood. So if you think about it from that alone explains why gold is hard to counterfeit, because you can't have something that's light to emulate something heavy. So in the old days, they used tungsten or lead to try to fake it as gold, but then you cut it open, lead and tungsten have different colors inside. So it's easy to tell, right? And also gold is malleable. You could break it down, you could bring it apart, you could cut it slices off of it, you could chip it away, you could scratch off really thin sheets. So it's really versatile in that sense. And we're not even talking about the chemical, like the electrical properties of it being highly conductive, because back then conducting electricity was not important. Okay, so it's also natural element, meaning it's uniform throughout the world. Like wood in Africa versus wood in America versus wood in Europe, the wood is different, right? The seashells are different, right? So a lot of real natural things are different throughout the world, whereas gold is uniformly the same regardless of where you are in the world. So that's why it became a highly circulating thing, and it has network effect. Okay, so it was very scarce and all that stuff. So the properties made gold valuable. And then for Bitcoin, same thing. Bitcoin is decentralized. There was no central authority controlling it. Okay, every Bitcoin was the same, right? It's fungible. You can combine them, you can split them, you can move it around, and it's digital. You didn't have to carry it, so it's better than gold in that sense. So it's good and bad, right? You could lose it if you lose the information, if you lose the encrypted the private key. But on the other hand, if you don't lose a private key, you can memorize in your brain, then you can have that value of Bitcoin wherever you go without having to lug around a physical brick of gold. So in that sense, it's digital gold, and it's very versatile. So I think people over the days, these days Bitcoin is traded 24/7. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of exchanges all over the world. So it's a thriving market. I really like it. Yeah.
Now, why do you think people like Peter Schiff, who are gold bugs, haven't hopped on the Bitcoin or crypto bandwagon yet?
Well, it's just a natural way of life. Not all gold people are Bitcoin, like Bitcoin, and vice versa. Not all Bitcoin people like gold, right?
Mhm.
So I would say for people like that, old school people, they just haven't, like Charlie and I we both have very strong technical backgrounds, computer science degrees. He and I both have a bachelor's and a master's degree in computer science. So we're a very well educated family.
Mhm.
We due to really good circumstances and opportunities my parents gave us. But the reality is we have a strong understanding of cryptography, of networking, of computer systems, architecture, of peer-to-peer. We understand these terminologies. Of course, blockchain concept is new, but when you look at people, the traditional people like Peter Schiff or whoever, they're not computer science people. They don't know what's information. They like I was trying to explain this to a person, a banker, yesterday on the phone. I was explaining to them, why is Bitcoin a big deal? Because Bitcoin solves the problem of double spending, because digital information is easily copied. Even as we do this video sort of conversation, video chat, it's actually copying digital information, right? My camera is recording me, with this nice virtual background and sending it to you. It's hopping over the internet and you're making copies of it. So the point is digital information is easily replicatable, right? So if we had digital money, if I had $100, even if I gave you $30, what we want is really for me to only have $70 left after I give you 30. But if I have 100 photographs and I gave you 30, I shared it to you on Facebook or on WeChat or Messenger. The reality is I still have my 100 photos and you now have 30 of my photos, and you can share to hundreds of people. So So that's a problem, right? With digital information, how do we do it? How do we do something where when I give you something, it really is giving you where it's missing from me, right? So Bitcoin solved that problem, whereas before you had to do it in a centralized way. So a lot of these traditional people, bankers and financial people, they don't understand that technical detail. It sort of like goes over their head. They're, oh, blockchain is great, but they don't understand why blockchain is great. So I think, that's, my brother and I, as early Bitcoin people, we obviously have made money in our investments in Bitcoin. And, good or bad, it's because we understood it, we took advantage of it, and that's how we capitalize on it. Like, people, for example, like Laszlo, the pizza guy, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of Bitcoin Pizza Day on May 22nd. And he famously spent 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas, right? I think people ask him, is he like regretting that? Of course he says he's not, but I don't blame him because he didn't see the economic value of Bitcoin. He didn't see the innovation breakthrough of it. So he didn't hold on to it. Like if Charlie and I had found out about Bitcoin in 2010 or 2009, we'd have even more Bitcoins than we would today, right? We wouldn't have spent 10,000 Bitcoins on 2 pizzas. I can tell you that I wouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and I think that also brings a different problem with Bitcoin and crypto, because now I would say lots of people in the space are investors, and they believe in the long-term future of Bitcoin and crypto to a point they don't want to spend their crypto. Right?
Well, okay. So let me talk about that. By the way, my views on this have changed over the years, but I'll tell you my current thinking. Okay. So I see Bitcoin, digital gold as an asset. It's an investment asset. People say it's money. Yeah, it's money. It's valuable. Yes. But to me, it's an investment asset. To me, Bitcoin is valuable even if I don't spend it. Okay. Now, I know there are some people out there, famous people, who disagree with me. People say, oh, Bitcoin has to be used for payments and stuff like that. But the reality is, you look at my 9 years of Bitcoin history, every Bitcoin or every whatever fraction of Bitcoin I've spent as payment, I've regretted it. Almost every Bitcoin, right? Now there's some exceptions. If I spent Bitcoin at $19,000 and today Bitcoin's only at $9,000, that was well spent. But who knows when Bitcoin goes to $500,000 in a few years, right? So the point is, all the Bitcoins I've spent, the majority have been regrettable, right? Now, however, when I sell some Bitcoin to cash out, that's a what do you call it? That's a deliberate decision. And even if I sold Bitcoin at $3,000 or at $1,000, I was deliberate making that decision, so there's no regret there. But if I bought pizza for 5 Bitcoins, 3 years ago, it's regrettable because I should have just paid cash, right? So for me, holding on to Bitcoin as an investment is equally useful and valuable as if spending it to buy coffee and pay for pizza. So I think when people say, oh, how is Bitcoin useful? What did you buy with it? I actually challenge them. I'm saying, Bitcoin, you don't have to be able to buy something with it for it to be useful. For example, I'm an investor in Tesla stock and Apple stock and Amazon. Okay, those are my three stock picks, right, if you will. But have I ever exchanged my Tesla, Apple, Amazon stocks for groceries or for coffee or for pizzas? No, I haven't. When a time comes when I want to diversify and sell some Apple shares or Amazon or Tesla, I'll do it through my brokerage, get the cash, and then use the cash to pay for pizza, groceries, and coffee. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my take on it. That's my take on it.
So basically, crypto is really an investment, and I think that's why you have stable
I'm not saying
coins.
I'm not saying it has to be an investment, but I think it's a valid case. Now there are times where I owe people money, I want to buy something, and I choose to send them Bitcoin because it's faster, easier, more convenient than going to the bank and do an international wire transfer. So in those instances, I do use crypto for payment. But what I'm saying is that is not the sole reason why crypto is valuable.
Okay. Now let's go on to your time at Yahoo. What was that like? What things were you working on at Yahoo?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually, I'll tell you about the virtual currencies part, but I started Yahoo in 1998, quite early. Yahoo had only like 300-500 people back then. I missed IPO by a few years. So Yahoo IPO'd in 1996. I joined in 1998, still a small company. I joined in the communities group. So in the early days, Yahoo had a product called Yahoo Clubs. They acquired a company called GeoCities, and then they acquired a later company called eGroups. So Yahoo clubs, GeoCities, e-groups all became part of what we call the online communities section of Yahoo. And I started as an engineer, as a low-level sort of college grad engineer, and then I advanced and became a team leader, manager, and eventually after 8 years, I was senior manager of online communities and platforms. So I also oversaw a identity platform and virtual currencies platform. So it's funny, we worked on that, but to be very fair, we did not do very well. We didn't change the world in terms of virtual currencies or online communities, or online identities. So it was under my jurisdiction. In hindsight, I didn't pay enough attention to it, but I had an inkling. We got our feet wet in terms of setting up a virtual currency platform for Yahoo. But that never, like I said, it was missed opportunity. We never really made it a big deal. So that was in 2004, 2005, 2006 timeframe.
Now, when you left Yahoo, did you feel like Yahoo was regressing as Google was coming up and other?
Oh yeah,
companies?
definitely. Google was our big competitor. Google did well in that sense. In the search engine, the portals game, Google definitely kicks Yahoo's ass. So so I all the years I didn't have a chance to go to Google, but my classmates at Stanford, many of them went to Google. So I left Stanford in 1998, December 98. That's when I joined Yahoo, right? So a few people who graduated, 6 months later actually had a chance to join Google. So financially, that would have been a better decision. But now it's all moot because I got into Bitcoin, so it's all made up for it.
Okay, now going back to BTCC exchange. So you mentioned you sold that. When was that? That was recently, I think.
Yeah. So 2 years ago. So I sold the company in January of 2018. So the timing was quite well. So let's see, in 2017, if you recall, that was a bubble year, right? That was a big run up from $1,000 in January 2017 through the summer to $3,000 to the fall. There was a crash in September after the Chinese crackdown on exchanges. So we had to close the Chinese exchange in September, October, and then it recovered a bit. And then by November, the prices went up, to $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. And by December, I think December 10th or December, whatever, 15th, it went to $19,000, $20,000. So from November to December, we were discussing with the acquisition for the acquisition of the company, and we sold it to Hong Kong Investment Group, and the deal closed in January. So everything got done in January. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm guessing that the terms of the deal are private, or are they?
Yeah,
public?
we haven't. Well, I mean, based on the shareholders selling and the buyers, they didn't want to publicize more of the financial details. But it was good. It was pretty good. We made some good money. Made some good money for our investors. Made good money for our employees. For myself, and obviously the buyers got a really good asset. Got the BTCC brand exchange, the world's longest running exchange, and all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Cool. And then you've also been part of the Bitcoin Foundation.
Yes. So, well, to be honest, the Bitcoin Foundation today is not very active. I think due to budgetary reasons, it's sort of in hiatus right now. So, however, I got elected to the board, I think it was spring of 2014. Yeah. So as a board member.
Now, hold on. How can the Bitcoin Foundation have financial, I guess, issues or challenges? Because all the other foundations have money. I mean,
no, that's great. Let me talk about that. So Bitcoin Foundation is the lone child in that sense. So it turns out when Bitcoin was designed and made, by the way, Bitcoin Foundation came after Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin was first established and launched in 2009. And then a few early people, got together and started the Bitcoin Foundation. I wasn't part of that early group. They started it, kicked it off, and then they had board seats that rotated out and stuff like that. But it was never so the Bitcoin ecosystem was never created with a foundation in mind. Okay, meaning that there was no automatic way for a Bitcoin Foundation to get funding other than through donations. Okay, so back then in the 2013, 2014 days, people actually, there was only Bitcoin, by the way. There wasn't all these thousands of altcoins and shitcoins or tokens, right? So there was only Bitcoin was a king. So people who were in crypto actually donated money to the Bitcoin Foundation. So that's how the budget was there. Whereas today, it's like, who cares about the foundation? Who cares about so basically there's so much more out there in terms of tokens and altcoins and shitcoins. So people do their own thing. So these days, the newest coins, a lot of new coins and tokens and airdrops and stuff like that, they actually have money for the foundation. The foundation reserves a huge bunch of those coins on their balance sheet, which they can sell off and fund the budget. Whereas Bitcoin today, all the mining fees go to, all the rewards and the mining fees go to the miners, right? There was no carve out like 1% or 5% tax, nor was there Bitcoin withheld for the foundation. It's not like 1 million Bitcoin was withheld for the Bitcoin Foundation. Does that make sense? So
Yes,
that's
yeah.
why the Bitcoin Foundation is uniquely in a bad position to not be in a sustainable budget situation.
Now, could they possibly change that with a proposal to maybe add some kind of reserves for the foundation?
I don't
people
recommend
care?
it. I wouldn't recommend it because the notion of Bitcoin is decentralized, and it's there should be no central authority. So I never saw even though I'm on the board of Bitcoin Foundation, I never saw it as the central authority. Like the joke, I was going to make a joke like on April Fool's Day. I was going to say, hey, Bitcoin Foundation announces that you now have to. Sorry, whoops. The joke was, it would have been an April Fool's joke, is Bitcoin Foundation would announce, okay, that you now have to apply to the Bitcoin Foundation in order to mine Bitcoin, right? Of course, people who understand Bitcoin know that that's not possible because mining Bitcoin is permissionless. Sending Bitcoin and receiving Bitcoin is permissionless. You don't need to apply to get a license to mine, to send, or to receive Bitcoin, right? That's why the foundation has no real power, and that's a good thing. We don't want the Bitcoin Foundation. We don't want some central authority to have real power over who can mine Bitcoin, who can send Bitcoin, who can receive Bitcoin, who can buy Bitcoin, who can sell Bitcoin, right? So all of that is decentralized. So in that sense, I'm happy as it is. I don't want like Bitcoin Foundation or any central authority to have 1% or 10% or whatever, even 0.1% of all new Bitcoins or all old Bitcoins. That would not make sense. That makes a centralized thing. Yeah.
So what kind of things was the foundation working on while it was active?
When it was more active in the early days, it was advocacy, global advocacy. It organized some conferences in the early days. Also for regulators. So it was more focused to the US side. So attending congressional hearings, responding to subpoenas, responding to lobbying in Washington, DC, and advocating for Bitcoin in terms of digital currency regulation and stuff like that. Yeah. I think the foundation needs a reboot. So I'm talking to some of the board members. We're going to see what we can do to give it a kick in the butt.
All right. So now we're here to talk about your project as well. So you're working on a pretty cool project.
Yes, it's not a project; it's a company.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A company.
Yes,
and it's called Ballet Wallet.
Ballet. Yes.
So can you tell people about Ballet?
Yeah. By the way, when we're live streaming, do they see you or do they only see me?
Both of us.
They both see. Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So
the person talking.
Yes. Okay. So Ballet. So let's see if you see it in the screen there. The things in the background.
There you go.
So
right there.
So this is in the plastic acrylic case, but this version is without the case. Okay. So basically, it's I'm very proud of this. I'm so happy about this. I spent good amount of time thinking about brainstorming and really creating this product, and it took us a lot of time. Finally, we launched it late last year, and it's selling really well. So what's interesting is this is a cryptocurrency wallet. So all your audience are all crypto people, so they know what a wallet means. Okay, so I'm not going to explain that, but essentially, a wallet is basically management of private keys. So what's special about this wallet? This wallet has private keys, just like your other hardware wallets or mobile wallets. They all have private keys. But what's special about this is purely physical and non-electronic. Okay, physical and non-electronic. So what I'm saying is that we are storing the private keys on here in printed form without electronic circuitry. Therefore, no batteries, no computer chips, no NFC, none of that complicated stuff. And why? Is this more secure or less secure? And the reason we do it is because it's easier and more reliable. Okay, so I've been in Bitcoin for 9 years. I've seen all kinds of wallets, from the early days, paper wallets, to software wallets on the computer, like the Bitcoin Core client or Electrum software wallets, multi-bit, all these software wallets. There's web wallets like blockchain.info. There's a bunch of web wallets out there, and they're hosted custodial wallets like exchanges. You store coins on Coinbase, on BTCChina, on Kraken, on Bitstamp, a bunch of exchange wallets. And now they have mobile phone wallets like the Trust wallet. Mobi had a wallet. BTC had a wallet called Mobi. There's all these. The early ones were Mycelium, Bread wallet. All these different kinds of wallets, and they're hardware wallets. These physical devices you connect either by USB or by Bluetooth. Like the first one was Trezor. There's a very popular one called Ledger, which I also use myself. There's a credit card form factor wallet. It's a cool wallet. NFC wallets. All these different kinds of wallets. Okay, but every wallet out there is either software based, purely software, or they're running on hardware with some computer chips in them. And for us, we're launching the world's first multi-currency wallet that is non-electronic based. So it's more fancy than a paper wallet, because paper wallets are all single currency, but our wallet has multi-currency support, and yet it's similar to a paper wallet that's made of metal, stainless steel. So it's really, really nice material, okay? And Ian, you've seen one yourself. Tell me what you think.
I love it. I love it. I mean, as a person who had the Amex Platinum, this is much better quality.
Thank you. And it is better. You know why? Because I have the Amex Platinum card too. So I made this to be better than the Amex card. And the Amex card doesn't hold crypto. This holds crypto. It holds stable coins, USDT, USDC. It holds all that stuff. You could put stable coins on there. You could put crypto, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You could put all the ERC20 tokens, and it's really, really cool.
Okay, so kind of walk me through how to use this. So you mentioned earlier there's an address and a private key.
Yeah, let me talk about this. So how did I get inspired by this? So my background, I forgot to tell you about this, is at BTCC in 2016, I launched a side business, part of BTCC brand, called BTCC Mint. Okay, the idea was mint as in minting coins, okay? The idea is we made physical Bitcoins. Unfortunately, I don't have any examples with me. We made physical Bitcoins, and actually, do I have an example? I don't have it. Okay, I'll go get it if I need some. Okay, actually, I do. Hold on a second.
Okay, no worries.
So basically, we made physical Bitcoins, and let's take a step back. In 2012, 2013 days, there's a guy called Michael Caldwell who made physical Bitcoins called Casasius. They're called Casasius Bitcoins, okay? So I'll give you an example. I don't have an example of a Casasius coin on me, but they're physical coins. They're made of metal like brass tokens. It's kind of like those laundry tokens or those tokens at those game stores like Chuck E. Cheese, those arcades. And then what he did was he printed a small piece of paper, the private key of a Bitcoin address, onto the back of the piece of paper, and he stuck it onto the token using a hologram piece of sticker, okay, and with tamper evident. So the idea is that by putting on there, he could load it up with one Bitcoin and give it to people or sell it to people, and then they could redeem it by peeling the sticker off and then seeing the private key and typing that private key into the computer program, and then run the blockchain and move the coins onto their own wallet, okay? So those are called Casasius coins. Very famous. Today, they're worth thousands of dollars, okay? A lot of money. But back then, it was just pennies on the dollar, okay? Now, so in 2016, we made something similar. We made a titanium coin. Let's see, what's the best way to show this? Is there a way to show this? I might be able to do. Should I choose a background and try to show it? Let me just try it. Okay. As we photos, images. Okay. Where are my photos for that? Sorry, let me.
No worries.
We're not going to waste too much time. Essentially, we made these. Okay, got it here. Photos. Okay, I'm almost there. Almost there.
While Bobby is doing that, be sure to subscribe and share this. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
And share this with everybody and your friends who has interest in Bitcoin and the Ballet wallet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So our website is balletcrypto.com. So you see the background, you see these coins. So
Yes.
these are
Yeah.
the BTCC mint coins. And let me find some better pictures. And here's a big one. These are the 5 Bitcoins. Okay. So you'll see, sorry for they may not be right side up or anything. But essentially these are
Yeah,
made of
that's right.
titanium, and they had a sticker on them, and it has a really nice, the size. Here's a size, right? Here's the size of the coin. Let me get out of the way. Compare the US dollar bill and stuff like that. So these are modeled after Cassasius coins. Okay, so they're what we call physical Bitcoins. They're just like a wallet. Yeah, and essentially you buy these or you can give it away as gifts. So they contain real Bitcoin value. Okay, but what's interesting is on the back of it, and then here's one, and then I'll show you one more photo with the chips. We made a bunch. Let's see. Yeah, this is a good photo. Do you see this one?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good photo. And these are poker chips. And this is I'll end on this one. Okay. So I'm in Las Vegas. By the way, I'm a poker player, casino guy. So we made these chips. You see these colorful chips, and these are casino chips like the ones you get in Las Vegas, and then they've come different colors and they have different denominations on them. So we made these in 2016, 17, very popular. They're all sold out, by the way. They're all sold out. They all have a high premium now. And I have one in front of me. See if you see this. This is a 1K chip. So 1K is the smallest. The purple one you see in the background, this over here, right? That's 500K. 500K is 500,000 bits. So that's half a Bitcoin. The black one on top here is actually you see my hand on top. Yeah, this one is actually 100K. So that's 100,000 bits, 0.1 BTC, and that is worth today, $800 some worth of Bitcoin. So this is a thousandth of a Bitcoin. This one right here, a thousandth of a Bitcoin, and this one is white in color. And then what happens on the back? I may show you. This is fun to go back down memory lane. Okay, so here's the actual chip. Okay, all right, and then on the back of it is a sticker. It's a hologram sticker. Okay, and if you were to peel the sticker, there's a piece of paper underneath it, and that would have the private key. It has a QR code and the private key. Okay, so this has Bitcoin loaded in there. I can give it to you as a friend. So this wasn't a wallet. It's a loaded physical Bitcoin. So the reason I talk about the story is because what did Ballet do? Ballet, it was my idea basically can we take this technology and improve the world of Bitcoin adoption, cryptocurrency adoption? Because what we found is people love these chips, coins, because they could buy and give it to friends easily. Because think about it, Ian, this way. All through Bitcoin history, in order for there to be a Bitcoin transaction electronically, it has to be a two-way sort of multi-step process. Does that make sense? Meaning that, Ian, if I want to send you Bitcoin, if you want to send me Bitcoin, we have to ask each other for their address. It's no different than email, right? Like for me to send you email, I have to say, hey, Ian, what's your email? Well, how are you going to tell me? Are you going to send me email with your email? But well, so it's like, well, we can't. You can't send me email. We can't send each other email to find out our email address because we don't have each other's email address, right? So we have to talk on the phone or do SMS or give you a piece of paper. Here's my email address, right? So same thing with Bitcoin. How do I send you Bitcoin? Well, I have to say, hey, Ian, what's your Bitcoin address? And then you have to go install a wallet, run the wallet, and get the Bitcoin address and make sure you don't screw it up. And then give me the Bitcoin address by email or text message or piece of paper. And then I can or QR code, right? And then I can send you the Bitcoin, right? And before I send, I might have to call you and say, hey, Ian, are you sure this is your Bitcoin address? Please confirm the first few characters and the last few characters. I do some authentication, okay? So it's a very laborious, multi-step process that involves you. But with this, I can put some Bitcoin on here and say, hey, Ian, here you go. I can mail it to you. I can give it to you in person. Happy birthday, happy graduation. I gave these out as wedding gifts, right? In the early days, 2016, 2017, some of my friends who married got lucky and got a full Bitcoin from me back then, okay? So this makes it really easy to give Bitcoin to new people. And that's why we created Ballet, because you want to take this technology, take this concept, make it into a product. And the product we have today is this. So on here, now let's talk about this. On here, what you have is, if you look at it, there's a Bitcoin logo, right? That's a nice logo. There's a Ballet logo, Bitcoin logo. And on here, there's a sticker. The silver sticker has everything you need. It has the QR code, and on the bottom, a 2 or 3 line address showing the Bitcoin address of this wallet. So it's a single address wallet. Okay, people give me crap about that, but it's fine. It's a single address wallet, okay? So this wallet has a Bitcoin address. And in fact, I'll show on the screen. People can scan it and send me money, right? So that's the idea, right? So now, if I load this wallet with Bitcoin, I used to use my whatever app, whatever wallet I use. I use Trezor's, Ledgers, I use Electrum, I like use Bitcoin Core. So either you type in the address here, copy paste, or you scan it, and then you can then send in Bitcoin. And then once the Bitcoins are in here, they're physically here. We've turned digital Bitcoin into a physical good that I can then hand and give to someone as a gift. Does that make sense? That's the beauty of Ballet. Yeah. Ballet makes it easy for you to give small amounts of Bitcoin to your friends and family. And it's you could program it however you want. You could load large amounts, small amounts, or very little amounts. You could give $100, you can give $500, you could give 0.1 Bitcoin, you can give 0.002 Bitcoins, whatever you want. And then once you load it in there, you can add more to it every year. So let's say for grandma, she wants to give Bitcoin to her grandchildren, or vice versa. You know, you can load more Bitcoin on there every year, right? On the back of it, sorry, I was upside down. So on the back of it, there's a memo field. You can write your name, whatever, on there. And the best part is this is not just Bitcoin friendly. You can actually load Litecoin, Ethereum, ERC20 tokens. You can load stable coins on there. Well, by the way, stablecoin value is not guaranteed, right? So if you load USDT or stuff like that, USDC, the stablecoin value is only guaranteed by the stablecoin company or whatever organization, okay? But same with Bitcoin, whatever value you load in there is not guaranteed, but the Bitcoin itself will stay in here, okay? So you actually have the private keys. Whoever holds it has the private keys, because what happens is, first of all, we have there's a scratch off. So on the bottom here, there's a scratch off. That's a passphrase. So there's an encrypted private key and a passphrase. So I'll demo this to you. Would you like that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we have an app, by the way. The app makes this all much better. Okay. So the app, yeah, there's a Ballet app, and you can scan it. So basically, here's a Ballet app. Basically, scan this. Did it work?
I think it's diagonal.
I'm trying to do it backwards.
There
Okay.
you go.
All right, here we go. So now the app shows this value of this wallet, which is $0. Okay, and it has this much money on it. Yeah, no money in there. And I can also manage and to add all these other currencies. I'm trying to do it backwards. So basically, I could add any number of accounts and currencies on this wallet. I could enable like Litecoin, you know, Dogecoin, you know, Zcash, you know, Ethereum, and all that stuff. XRP, you know, Dash, Chainlink.
Now,
all
quick
these
question.
tokens.
So how do you handle all those different currencies with different blockchains with one address?
This is magic. This is magic. It's actually, they all have different addresses for their respective coins, but the magic is that it's done through one private key, okay? So the private key, so now I'm gonna tell you the secret, okay? So basically, when you peel the sticker off, all right, I'm gonna peel it off. It's a tamper, it's really stuck hard. So it's a tamper evident sticker. And by the way, the sticker has a smell on it, okay? If you scratch the, so do it for me, Ian. Scratch the QR code, scratch it with your fingernails.
Smells like lotion or something.
Yeah, it has a fragrant vanilla smell to it, okay? And that it's part of anti-counterfeiting. We also have UV light, UV ink on it. So it's very nicely done. So you peel off the sticker, okay? Whoops. And then what you reveal, I don't mind revealing this to the public, is this a yellow sticker on the back. I can peel off completely, actually. So now you have the private key, and on the bottom, if I scratch it off, it has a passphrase. So it's an encrypted private key and a passphrase. We purposely make a yellow background and black ink with a QR code for the encrypted private key. So now it's like this. So the point is, when you want to spend money from this wallet, you would use the app, or you could use open source BIP38 software. So our solution is non-proprietary. This is very important. We have made a non-proprietary solution. What does the word non-proprietary mean? It means that Once you buy this wallet, you own and control the private keys, and you do not depend on Ballet at all afterwards. First of all, we do not have your private keys. I'll explain that in a little bit more. And secondary, we don't control you to force you to use our service to move the coins. Does that make sense? Many of the other wallet makers out there, when you buy their wallet, you have to use your software. And if their software gets delisted, or if their company goes bankrupt, you literally can't get the money out of it unless you have that backup recovery seed phrase, right? So our wallet, there is no backup recovery seed, right? Is that good or bad? Whoa, it's scary. There's no backup, but we like it because there's no need to set it up. This is the world's first wallet where you buy it and you can use it instantly right away with no setup. Think about that, Ian. You can buy this wallet. It gets delivered to you in this nice packaging. I'll show you guys later. And once you get it, actually, I have it right here. So, okay, so it comes in nice packaging. This is the Litecoin version. You see the, you see a Litecoin logo right here. And then we also have the multi-pack. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
This is this is a 5-pack for Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm at the warehouse in Las Vegas. This is where we ship the stuff through Amazon and stuff like that. This is all sold on Amazon. So there's no setup. Okay, you buy it, you can instantly use it by scanning the address and putting in Bitcoin. Okay, because a lot of wallets out there, they ask you to write down these 12 words, 24 words. And then you have to write it down. You have to repeat it back to the software and say, hey, did you get it down right? These are the orders. Have you done that? Have you ever done that? Having to write down 24 words?
Yeah, and I hate it.
You hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And the worst part is not even writing it down. The worst part is after you write it down, what do you do with the damn piece of paper? What do you do with it?
Store it somewhere where I have no idea where.
Yeah, and either people forget to store it or people forget where they stored it. It's terrible. It really is terrible because it's a piece of paper, and it's not like you're gonna laminate it or you're gonna put it in some big container with a like one of those nuclear containers, right? So the point is, it's not fire safe, and it's not waterproof. Ants can't eat through it. Termites can eat through it. The ink can bleed, right? You can lose it in the trash. You can lose it under a stack of stuff, and people can see it, right? So all these difficulties with all these traditional wallets, I've encountered myself, which is why I finally decided to make this wallet, okay? So this wallet has no setup. For the people out there who want to introduce cryptocurrency to the newbies, to the no coiners, people who don't have Bitcoin, this is the perfect onboarding solution. That's why I created this wallet.
Awesome, awesome. So we have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah,
a few questions here from the audience. People are asking, what happens if they lose the wallet?
Well, it's like a gold coin. So if you lose the gold coin, you lose the gold coin. So we made that trade-off. This is intentional. We basically don't mind the fact that if you lose it, you lose it. Okay, so that is our intention. However, as long as you don't peel the sticker, as long as you don't show, like I'm doing something stupid, I'm showing everyone the private key and the passphrase, right? By doing this, if I had a Bitcoin on here and I showed it like this, then people can steal my coin. Okay, but if I never peeled it, if it were like this, where it's intact and never peeled, then I could show you, you can see my one Bitcoin on there, no one can steal it. So there's no electronic hacking. But if I lose this, if someone takes this, then all bets are off.
But okay, if somebody backs up let's say they put the private key on paper, can they use it in the future if they lose it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So you could back this up. So you peel this off, and you could take a photo, you could back it up, take a Polaroid or whatever, you could write it down, copy it down, you could back it up. Now, the issue is this. The issue is even after you backed it up, then you lose this, okay? Let's say you go swimming in the ocean, you go boating, and he falls off into the Pacific Atlantic Ocean. Then no one's gonna get to it. But if you lose it and someone takes it, they can look at it, and then they can take the coins out, right? So backing up doesn't prevent people from stealing it. It just allows you to recover it in a short time if no one else has gotten to it first.
All right, makes sense.
Okay,
makes sense.
fair enough. Yeah.
And then next, people are asking, how much does the device cost?
So we sell this for $35 retail, and if you buy multi-packs, the unit price comes down, right? And we have other versions. Hold on, let me get you. So there's a version that we sell in there's a gold-plated version. Right, this is a gold-plated version. Really nice. So this sells for I think $99 or $129. Yeah. So real gold-plated.
Oh man,
it's really nice. Yeah.
That's cool. That's the one I want.
Yes, you can buy this on Amazon.
Nice.
Or go to balletcrypto.com. BALLET. Ballet is like the dance form. You know why we chose the name Ballet? Because I'm sick and tired of all these crypto company names that are all so geeky. I'm a geek, okay? I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, okay? But for Bitcoin to grow, we can't have all these company names that starts with bit, that starts with coins, that's like all these XYZ complicated names. It'll never get mass market adoption. So we chose the name Ballet. Ballet pronounces the same in many languages. It's like art form. It's female friendly. All these names are all geek, all guys, right? We want to target more women. We want to bring more women onto this space. So not that it's a feminine name per se, but we really wanted something that's easy for people to pronounce. So it's Ballet. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. People saying they love it. Great information.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
so let's go ahead.
Let's get to a controversial point. People accuse that I keep the private keys. I keep the private keys for all this stuff. Okay. And I can tell you, for people who are worried that I keep the private keys, I am twice or 10 times more worried than you. Make sense? I'm a public figure. I'm already rich. Why would I risk my reputation and lawsuits if I kept your private key for me to steal your money? Like, why would I want, like, there's no motivation for me to do this. So I have designed the process to be super secure where the private key cannot leak. We actually have two components. This is a two-factor private key. Two-factor means there's two pieces. It's kind of like a multi-sig thing, okay? The first factor is the private encrypted private key in the QR code on the sticker, the yellow sticker. The second is this passphrase, okay? By the way, this is the passphrase for that encrypted sticker, but they weren't created to, it's not like I created them together and split them up and then printed it and laser etched it. It's not like that. They were created from the beginning in separate locations. They were born in, this is called BIP38. It's a long standard that's been out there. You guys should look at the technical people should really look at it. The two pieces of information were never created on the same computer. They never touch either electronically. Does that make sense? The egg and the sperm never fertilized.
Okay.
They never touch it. It's not like the egg and the sperm were hanging out together and I split them apart. They never got to see each other. They never fertilized. So when you get this wallet, the sticker, the electronic private key, the encrypted private key behind the sticker was made and generated in China. The laser part underneath here, passphrase, was made and generated in Las Vegas, Nevada, in this facility right here, okay? And meaning that they never saw each other. They're handled by different groups of people. And even when they're made, they don't touch each other because they're separate. So when we ship it out, if you ever, so Ian, if you ever peel the sticker and type it into the computer, the mobile app, you're the first person to ever have created the private key, because until they combined, it's not even called the private key. Does that make sense? The egg and the sperm is not called the embryo until the sperm has fertilized the egg to call the embryo. So we don't have the embryo. I don't know what the embryo looks like. I have no idea what it looks like because we never had it. So Las Vegas only had the sperm. China only had the egg. We put it together, and then when you take it, you can fertilize it yourself whenever you want, whether it's right away or do it 5 years later. We don't have your private key. There's no way we can have your private key because we never fertilized the egg. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry to use some biology sex terms on that.
No worries. All right. Well, let me just get some
questions.
Question
One more question. Go ahead.
Okay. So somebody earlier was asking about your take on Bitcoin's market cap and its potential in 3 years.
Oh yeah. Very exciting. So the coronavirus pandemic is terrible for the world, but what's the silver lining is that they're printing so much money. They're printing so much money. It's like, oh gosh, it's like, well, first of all, I'm not going to get into the money because they're not going to give the money to me. There's no airdrop of the US dollars to all the citizens. I mean, there is sort of $1,200, but really they're not giving us the money. It's all the banks and the big companies, okay? But my point is, the more money they print, and by the way, it's not just the US, Europe's going to do it, China, Japan, they're all going to do it, okay? It's like QE forever, QE4, QE2, QE3, QE4, QE forever, okay? They're going to print all this money. There's going to be huge inflation coming up. It may not be hyperinflation like in Zimbabwe, but there is going to be meaningful inflation. McDonald's is going to cost $15 for a Happy Meal, $15 for a Big Mac meal. restaurant steak's going to cost $80 for a steak. It's going to happen in a few years. Okay. When that happens, Bitcoin's going to go up a lot in price. Today, Bitcoin it would hit $9,000 just in the last 24 hours, right? It's back down to 8,000 some dollars. But easily in the next run up, it will pass $20,000. It'll go past $50,000, $100,000. The next run up, I expect it to happen this year or early next year. It'll go past 100,000 US dollars. And then I think the long-term target is at least 500,000, if not 1 million. But if they even print even more money, I think that the price can go to higher than 1 million, maybe $2 or $3 or $5 million. By then, gold price will go up a lot also. Gold price has already gone up 20% in the last few months. So it's really crazy.
So hold on. So Bitcoin to 1 million? Is
absolutely. In my lifetime, within 20 years, for certainty, Bitcoin will get to 1 million or even $2-3 million. Right. At this rate, because think about it, Ian, you're measuring the price of Bitcoin in this thing called paper money that is just getting more and more and more.
Hyperinflation.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be high. It could just be moderate inflation. Just be moderate
Shut up
inflation.
And take my money.
As we like to say.
Take my money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you on, Bobby. Where can people find you and learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, on Twitter, it's Bobby C. Lee. My middle name is Christopher. So instead of Bobby Christopher Lee, it's Bobby C. Lee. C as in Charlie. BOBBYCLEE. That's my Twitter handle. And then I'm also, where else can you find me? So on Twitter, and then on the website, come to balletcrypto.com, BALLETCRYPTO.com. And then you can search for Ballet Crypto on Amazon. You can find these amazing wallets you can buy on Amazon, right? You can also buy, I gotta show you something. I gotta show you this. We're selling this for one more day, okay? This block, okay? This is the Bitcoin block. This is a sample one, but this is a titanium block, 8 centimeters by 8 centimeters. It's about 10 ounces heavy, and it has a full block reward. We're selling the pre-halving blocks until tonight only, okay? This just happens, we're stopping this tonight.
Okay.
But this is too expensive. It's like over 13, 14 BTC. So it's not from normal.
We actually forgot. So we have a few questions to ask you before we end the show. We always ask every guest just, what are 3 books you've read that have inspired you or changed your life?
Oh, gosh. I should have asked me to prepare for this question. So, Gun, Germs, and Steel, I remember that book from a while back. I like reading autobiographies or biographies in general. So I read a lot about Steve Jobs, about Bill Gates, Andy Grove, all the business leaders. Jack Welch. So he passed away. Some of them have passed away already recently.
All right. And then next, who are
I read about books about gold, about the gold and the monetary system.
Okay.
So I read about that, as a gold bug.
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead. Next question.
Now, next question. Who are 3 people outside your family and friends, past or present in history, who have inspired you?
So it's the people I mentioned, the business leaders, right? So Steve Jobs, big fan of him. Elon Musk, a big fan of him. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, he was one of the earliest idols. Big fan of Bill Gates. Warren Buffett. So I'm a business guy. So these are my sort of idols in life. Also, people like Benjamin Franklin, from the good old days. And
All right, awesome. And then last question. What are 3 actions you took that have transformed your life?
That have transformed my life. So obviously coming to the US, right? Moving to the US. So what despite all the good and bad that's happening in America, and also I've lived in China for many years, right? I was based in China. I'm just in the US right now due to coronavirus. I left China for that. The US is great. I think I can't say enough good things about the US Constitution. I'm a naturalized citizen, meaning I grew up as a foreigner, and then 20 years ago I some years ago I became a US citizen through the naturalization process. I got my US passport. I'm a proud American citizen. So a lot of people who are born here sort of don't get that. They're born into, as a US citizen, they sort of don't realize what's going on in the rest of the world. I lived in Africa, I lived in Asia, I've traveled through Europe, I've traveled all over the world. And the US is still a very good place because the government here is for the people, by the people, right? It governs the people, for the people, by the people. It's run by the people. Meaning the people here in the United States, we appoint the government. We run the government how we want to be governed, right? And this is not the case in the rest of the world. Many countries, totalitarian countries, communist countries, where the government oppresses the people, they control society and all that stuff, and it's a shame. So whenever I'm in the U.S., for all the bad things that happen, I'm so thankful that we live in a free country, liberty, democracy, and freedom. So I'm a big fan.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bobby. It was great having you. Until next time. And as we like to say, the moon is not the limit to the moon and beyond.
Yeah,
thank you
like
so much,
that.
Bobby.
It
was great having you on.
Okay,
and
great.
Thank you, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with everybody in your network, because Bobby really brought the heat today.
Great. Thank you, Ian.